Imagine being a scientist in 1938, examining a fish pulled from a trawler's net off the coast of South Africa, and slowly realizing you're looking at something that, according to every fossil record on Earth, has been extinct for 65 million years. Not rare, not endangered, extinct in the same mass extinction event that wiped out the dinosaurs. And yet, here it was, fully alive, staring back at you from a fishing boat deck. This isn't a myth, and it isn't a hoax. It's one of the most genuine shocks in the history of modern biology, and it raises an unsettling question. If we were wrong about this creature for 65 million years, what else might still be swimming around down there that we've simply never noticed? A lot of people ask whether dinosaurs themselves could still be alive somewhere in the deep ocean. The honest answer is no. Dinosaurs, in the strict scientific sense, were land animals, and the marine reptiles that shared the oceans alongside them died out in the same extinction event. But the real story turns out to be even stranger than the myth, because something did survive that catastrophe, hiding in the deep ocean for 65 million years, completely unnoticed by science until just decades ago. To understand how something like this could possibly go undetected for that long, we need to go back to where this story actually begins. Hundreds of millions of years before the dinosaurs ever existed at all. The creature in question is called a coelacanth, and its story starts an almost incomprehensible 410 million years ago. For context, that's roughly 180 million years before the first dinosaurs even appeared. At one point, this group included as many as 175 different species, swimming in oceans and freshwater systems all over the planet. They weren't a footnote in evolutionary history. They were a major, successful branch of the fish family tree, and one with a genuinely strange anatomical secret. Most fish alive today descend from ray-finned ancestors, fish whose fins are thin, fanned membranes supported by tiny rods of bone, much like a folding paper fan. Coelacanths are different. Their fins are fleshy and limb-like, built around an internal skeleton of bone, and they move those fins in a synchronized paired pattern, eerily similar to how four-legged land animals walk. Many scientists believe this lobe-finned body plan represents an early evolutionary step toward the four-limbed creatures that eventually crawled onto land and became the ancestors of every reptile, mammal, and bird, including the dinosaurs that would dominate the planet hundreds of millions of years later. So this is where most assumptions about this story start to fall apart. People imagine dinosaurs as the ancient, primitive creatures, and modern fish as the newer, more advanced ones. But the coelacanth lineage was already ancient, already established, long before a single dinosaur ever existed. Then, roughly 66 million years ago, something happened that erased an enormous portion of life on Earth in a geological instant. An asteroid impact, combined with massive volcanic activity, triggered the mass extinction event that ended the age of dinosaurs, wiping out an estimated 75% of all species on the planet. And right around that exact point in time, coelacanth fossils simply vanish from the geological record. No more specimens, no more evidence. For decades, the scientific conclusion seemed completely obvious. Coelacanths had died alongside the dinosaurs, just one more casualty of that catastrophic extinction event. Museums displayed them as a classic example of a successful ancient lineage that simply ran out of luck. This is where the story should have ended, in fossilized stone, a closed chapter in Earth's history. But in December of 1938, that entire scientific consensus collapsed in the space of a single afternoon. A museum curator named Marjorie Courtenay-Latimer was inspecting the catch of a local fishing trawler off the coast of South Africa when she noticed something deeply unusual. a strange, large, steel blue fish, unlike anything in her collection, with thick, fleshy, oddly shaped fins. She had it preserved and sent the description to a colleague, ichthyologist J.L.B. Smith, who reportedly felt, in his own words, as though he'd seen a dinosaur walk into the room. The fish was a living coelacanth, a creature the entire scientific world had confidently declared extinct for 65 million years. This wasn't a fringe discovery dismissed by skeptics. It restructured biology textbooks worldwide and remains, to this day, one of the most famous examples of what scientists call a Lazarus species, a creature that vanishes from the fossil record entirely, only to resurface very much alive. But the discovery raised an obvious follow-up question that took scientists decades to fully answer. Where exactly had this fish been hiding for 65 million years, and why had nobody found it sooner? The answer comes down to habitat and depth. Coelacanths live in deep underwater caves and rocky slopes, typically between 500 and 800 feet below the surface, often resting motionless in near total darkness during the day and only becoming active at night. This isn't a fish casually swimming near a coastline where fishermen would regularly encounter it. It's a creature specifically adapted to a part of the ocean that for most of human history we had absolutely no practical way of reaching, let alone systematically searching. Today, scientists know of only 2 living species, one found near the Comoros Islands off the East African coast, and a second discovered decades later in 1997 in astonishing 6,000 miles away in the waters off Sulawesi, Indonesia. DNA analysis confirmed these are genuinely distinct species, separated by thousands of miles of open ocean, each surviving in total scientific obscurity until a series of almost accidental encounters finally brought them to light. And the deeper biologists have studied these surviving coelacanths, the stranger their biology has turned out to be. Researchers using advanced aging techniques on coelacanth scales, similar to counting growth rings on a tree, discovered these fish can live up to 100 years. Females don't even reach sexual maturity until around age 58, and when they do reproduce, they carry their young for roughly 5 years, the longest known gestation period of any vertebrate on Earth. Slow metabolism, low oxygen needs, extreme longevity – these are the biological hallmarks of a creature built for patience on a timescale most other animals never experience. For decades, the coelacanth was held up as the textbook definition of a so-called living fossil.
A creature so unchanged that looking at one was supposedly like looking directly at a 400 million-year-old ancestor. But here's where the most recent research takes an unexpected turn and complicates the very label that made this fish famous in the first place. In 2024, paleontologists uncovered an entirely new fossil coelacanth species, one that filled in critical evolutionary gaps and revealed that this lineage had actually been quietly evolving in detailed, meaningful ways across hundreds of millions of years, not sitting frozen in time the way popular science articles love to claim. The researchers behind the discovery were explicit. Living coelacanths may not deserve the enigmatic, unchanging reputation they've carried for nearly a century. They survived, they adapted, they simply did it slowly enough and in a place remote enough that nobody was watching closely enough to notice. So no, dinosaurs are not still alive in the deep ocean, but something that lived alongside them, that watched the same asteroid impact and volcanic chaos unfold that ended their reign entirely, slipped quietly into the darkness of the deep sea and simply kept going, completely unnoticed by science for 65 million years, until one curious museum curator looked twice at a strange fish on a fishing boat in 1938. If a creature this large and this strange could hide from an entire planet of scientists for that long, it raises a genuinely unsettling question about how much of the deep ocean we still haven't properly looked at, and what else might be quietly waiting down there, completely unaware that the rest of the world assumes it's already dawn.
If stories like this make you think differently about what we actually know about life in the deep ocean, stick around. There's a lot more hiding down there we haven't covered yet. And let me know in the comments, if a creature could hide from science for 65 million years, what's your best guess for what we still haven't found?